There are moments in life when silence becomes your only companion. You looked around, hoping someone would notice, but no one did. Not a friend, not a family member, not even the people you once carried on your shoulders. You were left alone, and yet you endured. The nights were long. The weight on your chest pressed you until you could hardly breathe. Your tears soaked the pillow, yet nobody ever asked why your eyes were swollen the next day. It was you, always you, carrying it all. And in that silence, something powerful happened. Heaven leaned in. The one who never sleeps and never abandons saw you. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." You felt crushed. You felt forgotten, but you were never truly alone. Still, it didn't feel that way in the moment. You questioned why life was so heavy. You questioned why betrayal cut so deep, why rejection burned like fire, why your heart felt abandoned even when surrounded by people. But you did not break. Every test, every heartbreak, every lonely night built something inside you. Something the world couldn't see. Something even you didn't recognize at first. It was strength. It was resilience. It was the silent shaping of a soul chosen for something greater. Job once said in Job 23:10, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." That's what was happening in your silent struggle. The fire you walked through alone was purifying you like gold. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And when you cried yourself to sleep, when your chest hurt from holding in pain, when you felt invisible to the world, God was watching. Heaven kept record of every tear, every sigh, every moment of strength when you wanted to collapse. The struggle was never wasted. The silence was never empty. The loneliness was not in vain. You carried more than anyone ever knew. The responsibilities, the disappointments, the heartbreak, the silent battles that no one ever asked about. And yet, you kept walking. Every day, you woke up and carried it all on your shoulders. The world saw your smile, but not the weight behind it. They saw your strength, but not the cracks in your heart. They admired your courage, but never realized the cost. You weren't just fighting one battle. You were fighting many. Spiritual battles, emotional battles, mental battles, and sometimes physical battles too. But the most painful part? You carried it alone. Those you helped didn't help you. Those you comforted were not there to comfort you. Those you stood with disappeared when you needed them most. And yet, you did not collapse. You kept walking. You kept holding it together when everything inside of you was breaking apart. Isaiah 46:4 reminds us, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." You carried the weight? Yes. But the truth is, God was secretly carrying you. Every step you took, He strengthened your feet. Every breath you thought was your own grit was His Spirit keeping you alive. The enemy tried to break you. The enemy thought the isolation would destroy you, but it only revealed your strength. You carried grief. You carried betrayal. You carried rejection. You carried disappointment. But you carried it all with dignity, and heaven noticed. The weight was not light. It was crushing at times. It bent your back. It pressed down on your spirit, but you did not let it destroy you. Instead, you wore it like invisible armor. You became unshakable in storms. You became unmovable in the fire. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 says, We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. That was you, pressed, but not crushed, struck down, but not destroyed, carrying it all, but still standing. Heaven applauded, God leaned closer, and the angels whispered your name, because when others dropped their burdens and gave up, you carried yours, alone. And even God was impressed. There were nights when the tears never seemed to end. You tried to be strong during the day. You smiled. You laughed. You pretended. But when the night came and silence wrapped around you, the truth surfaced. The tears poured like rivers, sometimes quietly, sometimes with sobs that shook your chest, and no one was there to hear them. But heaven heard. God heard. Every tear became a prayer. Every sob became an offering. Psalm 56, verse 8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Do you understand the power of that? Not one tear was wasted. Not one moment of pain went unnoticed. Heaven recorded it all. When others dismissed your pain, God documented it. When others ignored your cries, God kept them as precious treasures. Every tear carried weight in heaven. Tears that came when betrayal cut you open. Tears that fell when rejection left you feeling worthless. Tears that burned when people you trusted walked away. And tears of confusion. Why me? Why this battle? Why this loneliness? The world saw strength on the outside, but heaven saw the tears on the inside. Those tears were not weakness. They were strength. They were proof that you kept going even when your soul was bleeding. And every tear became a seed heaven promised to water, a seed God promised would bloom into joy. Psalm 126 verse 5 says, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." Your tears are not wasted. Your cries are not forgotten. Heaven is preparing a harvest from the very tears you thought no one saw. The angels gathered around when you wept. They whispered your name before the throne, and God himself leaned in, saying, "My child, I see you." Your tears are sacred to me. One day, those tears will be your testimony. One day, what broke you will become your strength. One day, the same tears that soaked your pillow will become the evidence that you endured. And when heaven testifies about you, it won't just be about your victories. It will be about your tears. Because even your tears impressed God. You walked through fire, not once, not twice, but again and again. The flames were fierce. They tried to consume you. They tried to leave nothing behind but ashes. And yet, you survived. The trials were not small. They weren't light inconveniences. They were life-shaking storms. They were soul-crushing moments. But you didn't collapse. The fire came to burn you down. But instead, it refined you. It purified you. It shaped you into someone stronger than you ever imagined. 1 Peter 1:7 says, "These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold." That's what happened to you. The fire revealed your faith. The fire proved your endurance. The fire exposed your strength. People saw you walk through storms and assumed you were unshakable. But they never saw how hot the fire truly was. They never saw the sleepless nights. They never saw the battles in your mind. They never saw the moments when giving up looked easier than holding on. And still, you chose to endure. The enemy threw everything at you. Disappointments, loss, rejection, failure, loneliness, heartache. but nothing consumed you. Isaiah 43:2 declares, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." The fire came, but it didn't destroy you. Instead, it revealed who you really are. Others avoid the fire. Others break in the fire. But you walked through it. You stood in it, and you came out refined, not ruined. You may carry scars, but those scars tell a story of survival, a story of faith, a story of strength that even God himself took notice of. And just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace, you weren't alone. The fourth man was with you. Jesus stood beside you. The fire couldn't consume you because heaven was protecting you. Daniel 3:25 says, "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the fourth looks like a son of the gods." That was your story. Others may not have seen him, but God was with you in the fire. And when you stepped out, not even the smell of smoke clung to you. Your trials were not in vain. They were training grounds. They were proving grounds. They were holy fires that forged you into unshakable steel. And heaven? Heaven was watching every moment. Heaven applauded every step. Even God marveled at how you endured. There are stories written in heaven about people who endured. Stories of faith. Stories of courage. Stories of survival. And yours is one of them. Heaven saw the nights you cried in silence. Heaven saw the battles you fought with no one cheering you on. Heaven saw the times you wanted to quit, but chose to keep walking. Even God took notice. Psalm 33:13-14 says, "From heaven, the Lord looks down and sees all mankind. From his dwelling place, he watches all who live on earth." But there was something different about you. When God looked upon you, he saw resilience. He saw faith that refused to die. He saw courage that glowed even in the darkest places. You stood when others would have fallen. You endured when others gave up. You carried pain, but you didn't let it poison you. You walked alone, but you didn't let loneliness destroy you. And that caught heaven's attention. The Bible says in Job 1:8 that the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Do you realize the weight of that moment? God was impressed with Job. And just as he spoke of Job, he speaks of you. Have you seen my child? Have you seen the battles they endured? Have you seen the storms they walked through? And yet, they still stand. Heaven itself pauses when one soul refuses to quit. Heaven marvels when someone walks through hell and still holds on to faith. Heaven applauds when you keep believing, even with scars on your soul. Even God was impressed. Not because you were perfect, not because you never stumbled, but because you refused to let go of hope. You didn't let betrayal define you. You didn't let rejection bury you. You didn't let failure destroy you. You kept rising. You kept moving. You kept standing. And heaven noticed. Hebrews 6:10 says, "God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them." He will not forget. Not your tears. Not your prayers. Not your sacrifices. Not your lonely endurance. Even God himself will remember your story. And when he rewards you, it won't just be because of the victories everyone saw. It will be because of the private battles you endured when no one else was watching. It will be because of the moments when your faith survived the fire. God was impressed, and heaven has written your name among those who endured. There are things the world never knew about you, but heaven knew. And the angels saw. They saw the nights you wrestled with your thoughts. They saw the mornings you rose, even when your heart felt heavy. They saw the moments when your spirit wanted to collapse, yet you whispered, "God, help me." And they whispered about you. Angels are messengers. They watch, they listen, they report. And when one of God's children refuses to give up, heaven takes notice. Luke 15:10 says, "There is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." If angels rejoice when one heart turns back to God, imagine how they rejoice when a heart stays faithful through storms. Imagine the whispers around the throne. Look at them, still standing. Look at them, still believing. Look at them, still walking through the fire without giving up. Every time you endured, the angels leaned closer. Every time you chose love instead of bitterness, they marveled. Every time you prayed instead of quitting, they whispered your name. The angels saw you battle depression. They saw you carry loneliness. They saw you fight rejection. And they testified before God, "Your child is still standing." Hebrews 1:14 reminds us, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" Yes, they served you. They strengthened you when you felt empty. They carried you when your soul was too weak to walk. But they also spoke of you. Your endurance became a testimony in heaven. When the enemy accused you, the angels defended you. When the enemy whispered lies, the angels declared truth. When the enemy thought you were finished, the angels said, "No, they are not finished. They are chosen. They are still rising." And the whispers of the angels reached the throne. God smiled. Because your story was not just witnessed on earth, it was celebrated in heaven. The angels whispered, and the king listened. The heavens spoke, and the throne remembered. One day, when the veil is lifted, you will see it for yourself. How much heaven spoke your name. How much the angels admired your fight. How much God was glorified through your endurance. You thought you were invisible. But all along, angels whispered your name before God's throne. Darkness surrounded you. Everywhere you turned, shadows waited. Some were shadows of betrayal. Some were shadows of loss. Some were shadows of fear that tried to choke the life out of you. The darkness pressed in close. It wanted to silence you. It wanted to bury you. It wanted to convince you that the light inside of you had gone out, but it never did. Even in your lowest moment, a spark remained. Even when you felt empty, something inside of you whispered, "Keep going." Even when you couldn't see the road ahead, your faith became the lamp that refused to die. John 1:5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That's you. Your light could not be overcome. The trials tried to dim it. The betrayal tried to extinguish it. The rejection tried to bury it. But the flame still burned. And here is the mystery. Your light wasn't just for you, it was for others. People around you, broken and tired, saw your endurance. They saw your strength. They saw how you still carried yourself with faith, and your light gave them hope. You became a lamp in someone else's darkness. You became proof that survival was possible. Proof that even when life tries to crush you, God can keep you standing. Matthew 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world." A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Your pain didn't bury your light. Your struggle didn't erase your glow. Instead, the very fire you endured became the source of your brightness. And God looked down and saw you shining in places most people would have given up, even when you didn't see yourself as strong, even when you thought the darkness had swallowed you whole. Heaven saw light. The angels saw it. God saw it. The universe testified of it. And here's the truth. The greater the darkness, the greater your light appeared. That is why your endurance became so powerful. Not because you never felt pain, but because you kept shining even through it. Philippians 2:15 says, "Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky." That's who you are. A star. A light. A flame that darkness could not extinguish. You didn't just survive. You became a beacon, and heaven celebrated your glow. Endurance is rarely easy. It asks more than most are willing to give. It demands patience when the world offers none. It calls for faith when doubt surrounds you. It requires strength when everything inside of you wants to quit. But you gave it, and heaven noticed. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Your harvest is coming. Every tear, every trial, every lonely night, every moment you chose to rise instead of surrender, it will bear fruit. The reward of endurance is not just relief from pain. It is transformation. It is recognition from heaven. It is blessings that surpass what you imagine. Your spirit, once fragile, is now unshakable. Your faith, once tested, is now proven. Your heart, once broken, now carries the wisdom of trials. James 1:12 reminds us, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." You have loved even when it hurt. You have believed even when it seemed impossible. You have endured even when no one was watching. And God remembers. Every act of patience, every moment of grace, every prayer spoken in secret, they are treasures in heaven. The reward is not just for survival. It is for the victory you carried quietly. It is for the light you shone in the darkest nights. It is for the faith that refused to die. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Everything you endured was not wasted. Everything you suffered had purpose. Even the pain will work for your good. Even the trials will become testimony. Even the lonely nights will become your story of triumph. And the reward will come in ways you cannot yet imagine. Doors will open. Blessings will arrive. Peace will flood your heart. And your name will be remembered in heaven as one who endured with grace. Because you faced it all without help. And even God took notice. You are chosen. Not by chance, not by accident, but by purpose. The battles you endured, the nights you cried alone, the fires you walked through, all of it was shaping you. You are not ordinary. You were forged in trials. You were refined in fire. You were strengthened in silence. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Even when you could not see the road, God was guiding you. Even when your heart ached, God was preparing your path. Even when the world abandoned you, God was calling you. Your path is not easy. It never was meant to be. The chosen ones are tested in ways others cannot endure. The chosen ones are tested in solitude, in silence, in fire. But the reward is eternal. You are a testimony. Your life will inspire generations. Your endurance will speak louder than words. Your faith will shine brighter than the darkest night. Revelation 2:10 says, "Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you the crown of life." You have been faithful, even when no one noticed, even when it felt like God was silent, even when the world turned away. You faced it all alone, yet you stood, you endured, you overcame. And heaven celebrated, angels whispered, God smiled, the universe aligned, and your path, though lonely, became the path of the chosen. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. Your strength will inspire others. Your light will guide those lost in darkness. Your faith will show the way for souls who have forgotten hope. You are chosen. You are strong. You are victorious. And even God took notice. The path ahead is bright, though it may still challenge you. Keep walking. Keep believing. Keep enduring. Because the world has yet to see the fullness of your light, and heaven has yet to reveal all the wonders reserved for you. Your story is far from over, because in the silence of your struggle, heaven was watching, and even God himself was impressed.